Welcome to Magnify with Sue, the podcast for people who've done everything they were told and still feel something's missing. I'm Sue Paulson. Every week, we look at what it takes to move from self doubt to self love, from fear to inner peace, from striving to be enough to remembering you already are. Because the truth is, you came in magnificent. The essence of you isn't out there, it's right here in your own heart. So let's go find it. Let's magnify. Welcome to Magnify with Sue. Hi, I'm Sue Paulson, your Magnificence mentor. This is our very first episode of Magnify with Sue, and I couldn't be more delighted that you're here to join me. Really, the whole focus of this show is to look at inner transformation leading to outward growth. So, if that's of interest to you, then you're in the right place. Now, let's think about life as we know it. You've probably experienced, as I have, that life has been a series of struggles and of striving right from the second we were born. We struggled to come into the world, we struggled to begin to make sense of our world, and so it continued as we grew. Now, along with that, as we began to have thoughts about our world, maybe you had some thoughts or some conditioning from loved ones who wanted you to be the best you could be, but they weren't too sure how to go about doing that. They maybe taught you the way they were taught, who taught them the way they were taught, and back generation upon generation upon generation. So here's how this can work. So, as an example, when I was in, I think it was about grade 7 when I got when I got my first report card, and it showed me that, oh boy, I was really good in all of these subjects except I was not very good in math. And I was not that great in science either. Well, of course, when the parent teacher conference came along, my teacher, in her infinite wisdom, wanted to have me focus on where I was weak. Well, we don't need to spend a lot of time on the subjects that she's really good at, and I really liked, of course, but she needs to spend more time on her math and science because she's not doing that well. So improvement is necessary here. So then the process began. Now, it could have grown for any of us or started for any of us a whole lot sooner than that, where we went, oh, I couldn't tie my shoes very good, so I had to improve. I didn't know how to ride a bike, and so I had to figure that out, and then I had to improve. So there's all of these things that we struggle to learn to do, and along with the struggle, if we were taught that we were deficient in some way and that self-improvement was really, really important, we had to measure up to something. All it maybe took from a loved one was a comment, "Why don't you act more like your brother, your sister, your cousin? Look at how well they're doing, and you're not." And so that started to seed some self-doubt in our very psyche that we took as gospel truth because these were people bigger than us, more powerful than us. And so we go, oh, well, I guess they must be right. So life is not just about the struggle, but I'm suffering along the way because I don't feel good inside myself. I have fears now. I have doubts about my abilities. I've seen or had deficiencies pointed out to me. So then we get on this track that says, okay, if you want to get where you want to get, you want to have what you want to have, then you best just buckle down. Well, it's so opposite to what I believe now. I went that route too for many, many, many years, decades. And then at some point, I had an awakening that I couldn't ignore, that I couldn't turn away from. In 2007, I had a near-death experience that rocked my world and showed me that a tremendous amount of what I had believed about having to measure up and keep striving and never seeming to quite make it was not correct. That at the essence of who I was and the essence of who you are is that we're magnificent. We come into this world born magnificent. Now, this was not a belief that I adopted easily, but over the past several years, as I've explored and experimented this concept of humans as magnificent, I've come to adopt it as my own belief. I really believe that. First and foremost, I see it in all of you. I see your magnificence, and I know how grand and wonderful you really are. So, and it took a little longer for me to figure that out for myself that I was like that too. I mean, how could you be like that and not me be like that? Because we're all equally magnificent. So when I look at the growth in that, well, where did I go? Well, I went inside. I went in my very soul, which is in the heart space, rather than looking outward, which I had done for most of my life. Oh, I'll just take that course, or I'll just read that book, or I'll talk to this guru, or I'll get coached by somebody else or whatever. Well, but I never seemed to quite get there. So I suffered as a result of that. I suffered lots because there was all these thoughts roaring around in this monkey mind of mine that kept criticizing me and poking at me and saying, "Oh, no, you haven't made it yet, Sue. You haven't made it yet, Sue." Well, maybe that's happening to you. So really, I've come to understand that our suffering is, first of all, it's self-induced. We didn't mean to have that happen. We didn't deliberately choose that necessarily, but we did allow all those other voices who we thought were bigger, smarter, wiser, richer, whatever, to influence us to believe that, well, if only we just did this, we would be better. So, well, I'm wanting to reverse the trend. This particular podcast is for those of you who haven't had a voice at this point. You maybe have never even looked at yourself from the perspective that you not only are already enough, but you're way more magnificent than you ever dreamed. There's a power in that, that when we adopt it, when we embrace it, when we open to it, it can help us move whatever mountains are in our way and achieve beyond our wildest dreams. The ultimate goal for me is my concept of heaven, which I experienced and was particularly grand and wonderful. I thought, what if it's right here on earth? What if heaven is right here? We just haven't been understanding that it was. We thought of it as, well, that's the place I hope I go when I die, as long as I get all the best check marks in the book. Well, first of all, there is no book of judgment in what I experienced on the other side. And there and and you already have a place at the table. The celestial table is just there with your chair waiting for you. So I'm here to help you become aware of that. And I've learned some things over time. I'm planning to have some guests who have learned lots of things over time as well that can add to what you know deep in your core is there for you. It's just a matter of changing your perspective, of changing your mind about how you see yourself. So, this podcast is for those of you who have been isolated too much. You've been invisible for far too long, and you're hurting. And maybe you did everything right, but it didn't have or still hasn't had the result that you've wanted. And you need a voice. You need a place to come and understand that you're you're on the right track. Just the very fact that you're seeking and you've been searching, well, this is a place to find. This is a place to find who you really are at your core. It's a place to learn how to set aside the fears, the thinkings, the stinking thinking that rules us lots of times, the self-criticism, and flip that around to become who you really are, who you've always been at the soul level and maybe have not yet manifested. So I really want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and watch for each weekly episode. See what you can get from it. I'm going to challenge you by giving you exercises each week that will, starting next week, that will give you an opportunity to try on what I'm saying. I mean, don't take my word for it. I don't have quotes the answer, but I have some answers that for myself have worked extremely well that I've picked up along the years from a lot of different sources, and I want to share that with you. So that's what the podcast is all about. It's a conversation about all the facets that there are, that if we take our magnifying glasses and bring them closer to us, make them bigger, and say, what about that? Then we have the opportunity to shift into something new, something more rewarding, something more fulfilling. And of course, inner peace is just that far away. And it's there for you when you reach out. So thank you for being here for this first episode. I look forward to seeing you on subsequent episodes. Please subscribe to the channel so that you get notifications on when the next one is. In the meantime, go be your magnificent selves, and we'll magnify with Sue next time. My magnificent ones, this is the journey, moving from fear to self-love, from doubt to inner peace, from hiding to shining. One episode, one conversation, one insight at a time. If you're keen for more, the Magnify with Sue newsletter is a tool you'll love. Week after week, we do this work together. Not as a one-off, not as a nice idea, as a real practice of discovering and embracing the magnificence that you already are. To sign up for this newsletter, join us at magnifywithsue.com.